Good afternoon. I'd like to call the February 20th meeting of the Fairport Industrial Development Agency Board of Directors meeting to order. We have a full house today, and I'd like to ask if anyone would like to address the board.
Public comment.
Hearing none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from January 16th. I'd like to move their approval.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Excellent. We'll move on to our financial reports. The bills to pay, we move for resolution 2024-02.
I reviewed the bills and I recommend payment of the January bills. Bill, actually bill. I'll move for payment. A second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
We have our P&L, cash investments, Martha.
Right, on the cash and investments, you'll see that we've got a lot of things maturing. We've got some things maturing out of the investment portfolio because of rates and the fees associated with the investment and the rates the banks are offering. We're moving some of that into more CDs. Also in anticipation of having some capital expenditures this spring, we're paying attention to the maturity schedules. So working with CNB and with Tompkins on that. We'll have adequate resources for that.
Are those the two highlighted?
Right, in the investment report, you
Yeah.
can see the next two maturing investments.
April 30th, February.
Right. We had something mature on the 15th. That'll be rolling over into a CD. And we have quite a few at this time.
I was just remarking that those two that were highlighted,
Mm-hmm.
that they make up 36% of the portfolio, right? Yeah, we're
Mhm.
gonna beat that, is what you're saying.
Well, no, if you can see in the cash balances on the bottom, out of the $1.4 million in funds, we have about $275 as the total budget for the parking lot. So that's what I'm focusing on,
Okay.
is the being able to pay that $275 if we go forward with the project. We'll also have an outlay for the Thomas Creek wetlands if that goes forward as well. But we should be very liquid on that. But yes, our investment portfolio, we've spent, with the investments we've made over the last few years, things like the Lift Bridge project, the COVID funds, the Bicentennial Canal Gateway. Yes. Yes.
Noticing.
Do we need to move?
No, we just are reviewing and accepting.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to old business. Address the 58 South Main Street project.
Right. So as you know, at the December meeting, I believe it was, we received the application and the board approved it subject to a public hearing. Public hearing was held January 26th. And all of the affected taxing jurisdictions were notified because we are doing a custom pilot for this project. And there were no individuals that spoke at that public hearing. So now it's coming back to us for final approval. If you recall, this is the redevelopment of the historically designated long vacant Bank of America building that's vital to the commercial corridor. On the benefit to incentive analysis, you can see that the benefits are 23-1 on this, which far exceeds our minimum standard. It's going to be bringing a new level of dining opportunities to the village. We expect that it will attract people from outside our immediate area, and also will be bringing new jobs as well. The project went through the Historic Preservation Committee and also the Planning Board, and is being subdivided. I don't think that's filed yet, right? The subdivision. It's in process. So this application is looking for a payment in lieu of tax agreement and sales tax exemption and mortgage tax exemption as outlined in the application. So tonight we do have the applicant here if you have any questions or would like to add any comments.
Would like to add? Any questions?
I did not have any questions, no. I assume there's been no changes since the December meeting.
No changes.
Discussed.
Okay. Motion to approve?
Yeah, if there's been no changes since our last meeting, yeah, I'll move to approve. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's final approval. So
When will you be starting?
Shortly, probably the next 30 days.
Awesome, that's exciting.
I know that the tenant has already pulled permits and is doing interior demolition and renovation as well. And you've probably seen the activity there. So it's a very exciting project and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And thank you for your investment in our village. Very much appreciated.
Thank you for supporting us. Appreciate it.
Great.
Excellent. Moving on, we have an update on the Thomas Creek wetlands.
Mhm. Right. You've seen this project a little bit before. We've done an active public engagement and outreach effort. The most recent one, Tom and I and Jenna, we hosted a open house at Junction 361. And it was, I thought it was well attended. We had very interested people attend. There had been a mailing to people, businesses and residents in the adjacent to the wetlands. We had a good social media push on that and a lot of good feedback. So what you see here is the latest rendition. As you recall, we have been awarded a 50% matching grant on this from New York State Canal Corp. So Tom, I don't know if you want to add anything more to that or?
Yeah, there are a couple of tweaks that we're incorporating, responding to comments we received from online comments as well as people at the workshop that we had. And we're really addressed everything we could address. And as Court said, the public comment period was excellent in that we received some comments, positive feedback, and potential people that are willing to help in the future associated with volunteer work on the wetlands and other efforts.
Right. The invasive species was a big topic of interest and there was a gentleman there that is on our tree board, Ray Smith.
Right.
He and I are meeting the Genesee Land Conservancy or whatever that group is on Friday because he was very anxious to get out there and get started on the
spring. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're bringing in friends and groups that can add value, significant value. So excited about that.
Was anyone from Color Fairport Green at the meeting?
That Ray, I believe, is a member of
Is he?
Color
Oh, that
Fairport.
makes
I
sense
think.
then.
I think. Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So tonight we're asking the board's approval that we go ahead and put this out to bid this month or close-ish.
Yes.
Because we want to get the work started and completed before the season picks up. So the budget was 110.
Right.
And 50%.
We spoke about it a few meetings ago and looked at the plan. Did anything significant change on the plan since the public comments?
No, we're actually reducing the number of parking spaces,
Okay.
but ensuring adequate accessible parking spaces. Because again, the goal is not to draw cars. It's to make it a safer, more organized place for pedestrians and bicycles and other modes of transportation and improve the connection to the village for pedestrians and families. So,
And it's all within the current footprint of
Yes.
the parking areas. We're not infringing on any of the wetland areas.
Yeah.
We're not hardly disturbing dirt at all, which is a great thing. What do you think the timeline is once we get started?
That's on the contractor itself, but the construction itself shouldn't take long at all. There aren't the lead items for anything that's there.
Mhm.
Shouldn't be long, so, yeah, probably 45 days,
Okay,
but depending on when they conclude.
Sure. sure, but that's another reason why we want to get this out to bid, so we can get on somebody's calendar early.
Any other questions?
I don't have any-
No. Have a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion to approve sending it out to bid.
Yes,
Yeah, I'll move to send it out to bid.
I'll second.
All right.
All those in favor? Aye. The last item of old business is discussing the North Main parking lot.
great.
Peter's here to talk about putting that project out to bid.
Great. As you recall, we've been working on this for quite some time. As a matter of fact, years ago, we did an expansion project out there in anticipation of, formalizing it and organizing it. So now what you have in front of you, after some really great input and feedback of working with BME, you've got that base plan of formalizing and lighting the existing parking. And then your alternate would be expanding the parking. And so you can see on the engineer's estimate, the base bid was 194, I believe, right? And then the 270 or something for the alternate, right? Did I do that right? So it's a great way to look at this project.
Right.
We also have a list of bidders, which includes not only the 5 individuals or 5 bids from the prior, from the fall, but an additional 7 bidders. We
Yeah,
want
the
to,
bid list we used is the bid list that we submitted last September. We added the names back on of the contractors that declined to bid it
Yeah.
last fall because they did not have the time. So we're giving them the opportunity again.
is there anything else you want to add in there?
No, just our rough schedule is that our goal would be, if we move forward from this evening, and we can make any last revisions or tweaks necessary to the contract documents, is to put it out to bid next Monday for the bids to be returned on March 8th, Friday, March 8th, giving them basically 2 weeks to prepare the bids. By that following Wednesday, the 15th of March, we would review the bids, do a bid tabulation, submit them to this board, so that on your meeting of March 18th, we can go through them, and if everything is in order, we could select a contractor. The bid documents are written such that they are being instructed that they should be prepared to proceed with the work on or around April 1st and be finished by May 31st, so it'll be finished prior to canal days.
And the DPW has these plans
Yes.
and
the
is open for
DPW 's
comment.
had these plans
We'll
for
send it.
just about 10 days now.
DPW had seen the earlier versions, but we'll get the final version over them for the wetlands, but
So, yeah, and we are meeting with DPW on the property tomorrow. They're going to do some test excavations for us.
So I do want to mention that when we talked about the bid, the engineer's estimates, that did not include the lighting from FMC.
Oh, right.
It includes the poles and the trenching. It just does not
Includes the bases and the
Right.
trenching,
Right.
right.
It does not include the fixtures.
Remind us how much that is estimated to add to the project?
Martha, do you have?
I'm gonna look that up.
That was the one number I didn't agree with you.
I know. Here it is. The lighting estimate from FMC was 56.8.
That would
Okay.
put the project at like 520.
It would put the base project within our estimated budget. Okay, because and when I say estimated budget, our cash flow estimate.
Yeah.
And then ideally, we'll see what the bids come back. And then we think that there should be partners that might help us out with that alternate.
We would certainly welcome that.
We would welcome working with partners on the alternate because the base does not really add parking. Is that right, Peter? It just formalizes it, makes it safer.
From the
Maybe.
analysis we did in the summer last fall, the phase 4 project, the base project, which we're referring to, yields 62 spaces. I think from the research we have done through the course and that David Cruzy did also as part of that, I think we were estimating that the current stone lot out there at best maybe gets about 40 cars in it.
Oh, so there's
So there will be a net.
a net gain of, okay.
Yep. Without really increasing the footprint of what's already been improved out there to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm. Good. But the alternate then adds another 20,
43 spaces.
an extra 43. Okay.
Yes.
But again, as you can see from the estimate there, because that involves us having to move the bioretentions
And
and
it adds the concrete sidewalk.
yes, the timber rail itself was
Exactly.
21, I believe.
Right.
It's a more robust construction project.
Yes. So, mhm. So tonight we're just asking for the board to consider putting this out to bid.
And one more question, when we discussed it in the fall, we had said that we thought we could get more accurate bids if there were items that were like TBD or not so, not add-ons, but they weren't well defined.
Correct.
So
And
have they been defined in this?
they have,
package?
and the work we'll do with Village DPW tomorrow will allow us to finalize the last 2 items where we put some estimates in there, where we've made some assumptions. And it's basically how much dirt they got to move around. And we'll be able to, and those are numbers right now in this total number, we're carrying around $15,000 for it, where we've been kind of heavy in our assumptions. So, but point is we'll have that final number tomorrow so that when we put them out to bid Monday, it'll reflect the actual quantity.
Okay, so that's what the test pits will help us figure out
Yes.
if there's any leaks under there.
Right,
Okay.
but do we have topsoil we gotta get out of there? What does that base look like?
Okay.
And I want to say thank you to the Village DPW who's working with BME to
Yes,
do
Jason.
those test pits.
Okay.
Who've been very helpful.
Did we talk about doing any of the, in the phase 2, the alternate, any of the, like pocket park landscape, any of that
That
stuff?
does not,
That's not in any of that?
that's not in, the
This is
project
phase
stops
3.
at the timber rail.
Okay. So we're talking just parking at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions?
No, I'll make a motion to submit the package to go out for bid. One second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Does it make sense for us, Thomas Creek, to coordinate our schedules and possibly have the bids due at the same time, going out, increasing the size of the potential projects? If you're mobilizing for that project into the village, they may be interested in doing the Thomas Creek project also.
My only, I'm not overly familiar with, I'd have to look at those documents. My only concern is just the timing for the park.
Because yours are going out Monday.
We want to put them out Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, this coming Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to happen.
So that we can get everything back for the next board meeting to approve a contract
Mm-hmm.
to start April 1st.
Right. Right.
So
We're
we
back
can
up to canal days.
get
Yes. That's our, yeah. Whereas if you come out afterwards, they can still
Exactly.
bid on it because they'll be out here. So good thought though. Very good thought. Yes. Good.
Moving on to new business. We have Tracy Barrett here to talk about proposal to support the OSET through development of mission statement for our three organizations.
Yes.
Welcome.
That's me. Hi, I'm
Hi.
Tracy. I'm with MRB Group, obviously, as you just said. And
Thank you, Peter.
I've been sent by Matt Hoare. Well, but also, as I was mentioning earlier, I do love public authority work. I have a lot of background in public authority work, so I'm kind of excited to just be here in this meeting.
Okay.
I'm probably the most excited here.
She's definitely the most smiley up here.
Yes, yes.
This is my chance. So the proposal in front of you is really to make sure that your mission statements for your organizations, the whole crew of organizations are still serving the purpose of your work. And also ensuring that should the ABO take a look at any of your projects, that your mission statement is aligned with the work that you're actually doing. This is really important to the ABO, and it's the thing that Jeff Perlman talks about the most at conferences.
When it's the authority's budget office.
Yes, the authority's budget office, he heads up that office, and when he's at a conference, this is what he talks about the most, is
Yes.
make sure your mission statement aligns with the work that you're doing. So what we would do with this is take a look at the strategic plan you just did in 2022 with, I believe, Matt,
Mhm.
and take a look at the types of projects that you're doing and make sure that this mission statement, which is pretty much the same across the three organizations, is still serving you. And if it's not, talk about what it should look like instead. So what the proposal includes is some board preparations. We would prepare some materials for you to review and kind of get your brain working about what you're looking for in a mission statement. Then there would be a facilitated session. It would be 3 to 4 hours. Matt would like to do this in March if possible. And then we would bring to that facilitated session some kind of ideas and things for you to react to. And then after the session, we would update anything, or make any changes or adjustments and prepare any final documents that you need to move forward. And make sure that each of the organizations has a mission statement that works. So, right now they're all pretty much the same, and maybe that's right for you, and maybe it's not. It lacks a little specificity per organization, which I could see, I don't know, but I could see leading to some lack of clarity, both internally and externally, as to what each organization does. Am I reading that right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
great.
right on. Mhm.
So just making sure that each organization has a mission statement that's working for you, to move on to the future and to make sure that, you keep the ABO happy and the comptroller happy.
Well, and also to provide direction to our board.
And provide direction to your board and the community as to what it is your priorities are and what you're envisioning for your work. So it's both very functional, but also a good way to communicate to the community what you're trying to accomplish. Especially in changing it, you can talk about it.
Yes.
It's a good excuse to get out there and talk about what your organizations are doing and what the future looks like. So that's basically the meat of the proposal here. We like to be short about it. We don't want to send you a 20-page proposal if we don't have to. So that's in there. And then should you want to move forward, I do have some homework items for you to get started. But if you'd like, I can.
Maybe you hold off the homework till we figure out if we're gonna. You don't want
I
to
don't
scare them
wanna
off.
scare you yet.
But one of the reasons we invited MRB to give us a proposal is because they worked with us on our economic development plan, where we identified a vision and our values, which are important to a mission statement. So why start over with somebody else? So, and also we had a good experience with them. Jennifer Townsend's worked with them as well. So it made sense to invite them to make a proposal.
We love this.
So I have a comment and a question. Just a comment I passed to Martha is that I think it would be really interesting for us to see in this process examples of other mission statements from other public authorities, and whether even one that's really big and out of our league, but also one that might be smaller or similar in size to us, just to kind of see what's out there to get inspired. You know how to do your work better than, so I don't want to say you should do this, but I think it would be interesting
I did start looking at some because Matt mentioned that this question came up. So I have a couple in mind already, but I don't want to tease you. We'll put it in the package. Right.
Not until you've done your homework.
Yeah.
And Martha, I was just wondering, do you know when the last time?
2011.
Oh, so a good timing, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
We can say it's been more than 10 years.
Yes. Mhm.
I'm actually really impressed at your housing in your mission statement for being from 2011. This has been really a topic of the last few years. It's really become the forefront of what IDAs and LDCs are working on. So the fact that you have this in your mission statement already is actually way ahead of the curve on housing.
Good. Good.
So probably don't get rid of that.
Mhm.
All right. Any thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I didn't have any questions. If we do things like ask for examples or anything like that, does it exceed if compensation is kind of wrapped into all the stuff that you have in there, or?
Providing examples, no. If there is something that is kind of outside of the scope, we would talk to you about that before we started working on it.
Okay.
We don't want there to be any miscommunication about what is owed or what's under contract. Like I said, things like examples, those we can put into the package, and we have a lot of those on file. But if you were to say we want to have an extra meeting, right?
Right.
Yeah,
we
that's
might
sort
have
of like,
to
what are
say,
the?
Yeah, we might have to talk about what that means for the budget.
Okay. And this is it is the 3 to 4 hour session.
Mhm.
Board prep, are you guys coming in to prep us? Would that be or is that via email?
Yeah, that'd be a written package.
Written package,
So it'd be
okay.
something that you would need to read ahead of the meeting and start to think about. And then afterwards, that would probably primarily the final version of it would probably be communicated via email.
Okay. So an in-person is that second one, which is the 3 to 4 hour work session. Okay.
Tracy, on that first, the board prep part, what would you like to see from the board? What type of time commitment might they expect to spend on that board prep? 2 hours, 10 hours?
I would say no more than 2. I don't think we would want to give you more than 2 hours of prep work. And that's going to be stuff like reviewing some examples and some background information, some information about the exercises that we're going to be doing, so you can start thinking about things before you walk into the room. And then reviewing the strategic plan, making sure that that's fresh in your mind, and making sure that that's still, I was going to save the homework, but making sure that's still relevant and current. So it's going to be, I would say 2 hours, just a little bit of reading and then kind of mulling over as you're like, oh, this is
Mhm.
Are we in the press for time producing these mission statements in
No.
this project?
No.
Because I know we've got folks out of town, I know we're traveling around the world
Yes.
for 5 weeks starting soon, which concerns me about having, not being able to have 5 people at the table for a March brainstorming
Oh.
discussion point.
And we have a joint village board meeting in March as well.
Maybe this is something we approach in April after we've gotten all 5 folks at the table.
Okay, good thought.
I don't know.
We have our planning meeting on April 11th.
Oh, the idea was that we'd adopt it at the planning meeting in April, but with all the travel and what's on our agenda, I think it makes sense that it seems as though that final revision and production, there's not a lot of work. You come back and give it to us. There'll be a few little tweaks and then we can approve. There's not more work to be done. So we could approve it April or May. Right.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that.
I'd like to get it before the end of our fiscal year.
Okay.
Which is 9/30, but I like your idea of pushing it out at least a month. Good, very good thought.
And the last thing we want is for everyone to be around the table, but be so stressed out about being around the table that they can't really process what's happening.
Right.
So if that means doing it in April, that's not fun.
I mean, if this is a document that we're going to live with for a decade,
Yes.
maybe longer, I think we owe to give it our best, and make sure that all the great minds are together.
Mm-hmm.
Does the impact, the proposal at all if we were to push out? Okay.
No, I would just say, be aware that we push that out, it pushes out the end a little bit,
Sure.
but, you know, not in terms of cost or anything else.
Okay.
Are we thinking about that? Can I just say that I've worked with Matt on these visioning and planning sessions as well, and we had really good experiences.
Well, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great feedback.
MRB's done a lot of good work with us. Yeah.
And this I know went out earlier, so Rob and Kevin have had a chance to
Yes.
review it. Right?
And both replied back that they had no
Great. Okay.
objection.
So I know I saw something, but okay.
The chair offered some comment on the dollar value, and
Right.
but he said he'd defer to the people in the room. So he just said that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
That's all he said. But,
Right.
But Rob offered no comment. So he was not against it.
Yep.
He knows it needs to be done, and we don't see these every day.
Yeah,
we don't know.
and, you know,
And we've got 3 of them we got to do. So.
3 minutes. That's a good
3
point.
missions.
It is
in
for
this.
3 arguably separate missions.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, and I don't, look without a comp to look at the pricing, everything I look at today feels like a lot.
Right.
Everything just feels like too much, but
I don't think, in my view, 3 separate mission statements for organizations that have to work cohesively like that. If you divide 68 by 3, we're only talking about $2,300 a piece.
Right.
That is a difference when you think of the time investment that we are to make and MRB is going to make.
yep, that's good.
Mhm.
So I'll make a proposal, motion to accept this proposal for development of the mission statement.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
We're excited.
We're as excited as you are.
I think I'll be back for the sessions.
Good.
I took bring 80 music for the mix.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
Excellent. All right, any other business that we'd like to address?
No. Ed and I attended the New York State Economic Development Council conference last week. Housing, big topic.
Oh, great.
IDA best practices, budgetary things in the governor's budget, prevailing wage, all of those things. There was a lot of really interesting sessions.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to add, also with my new position, same position here, but rebranding, being a new firm, that the contract that was entered into with the prior firm, that contract, the terms of it would be honored, and we put together an engagement letter to send along to Martha. So,
Great.
as long as that is fine with the board, we continue with that. And really, it's the contract with the prior firm is only a one-way obligation, basically for them to provide services at a certain price point. And Hodgson will do the same. So,
And I will say Hodgson Russ is a very well-respected firm, represents multiple IDAs. They have adequate staffing and resources that I've told Ed I'm expecting a lot more from him now. So,
Do you have nice support staff
yes,
there?
and I can't speak more than potentially there are a couple other attorneys, staff, support staff.
it's a really good, I'm excited about working with them and learning more. And I did say, I want to get together with other IDA directors.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Oh, great.
I can't turn to somebody, hey, what'd you
No,
do?
right. To have
So-
that with a colleague
Yeah,
feedback is
so-
fantastic.
And they represent large and small.
Yep.
So it's really a great opportunity for us too.
Did you guys have any specific things about housing that came from the sessions?
Well, they did talk about the governor's pro-housing agenda, a budget item, and why we need to strive for that so that we can be eligible for certain funding opportunities
Okay.
and so forth. So lots more to come on that.
Nice.
Mhm.
May I have a motion to adjourn? favor?